Good morning. My name is Sarah Gergel, and I work with the Living Archives Project, where we are collecting stories of how COVID-19 impacted various communities around Mecklenburg County. Today is October 5th, 2022, and there are 209 cases of COVID-19 in Charlotte, Mecklenburg County this week, which is a 26% decrease over the last 2 weeks. Therefore, for the comfort of each subject, we are not wearing masks. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, good morning. My name is Sandra Marquez. I'm from El Salvador and I've been living in Charlotte for 8 years.
Wow, 8 years. And what brought you, Sandra, to Charlotte?
Because the brother that is after me, my middle brother, he moved to Charlotte, and then my mom decides to move a year later, and then I was like, okay, I miss my mom. I want to be close to her, and I want my children to grow up sharing time, special moments with grandma. So that's why I moved.
Okay. And did you move to Charlotte directly from El Salvador, or did you come from somewhere else?
No, we moved to Long Island, that's in New York.
Okay.
And then it's cold.
Yes.
And my country is a tropical weather,
Yes.
so I was like, I need something not too cold for me. So I think that's why my brother decided to move to Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Then my mom and I finally made the decision to move.
So is your immediate family all living in Charlotte now?
Now, yes.
Yeah.
We all my family, uncles, aunts, we used to be in New York, and then we decided to move to Charlotte.
That's amazing. And you said you've been here 7 years.
8 years.
Oh, 8 years. Wow, that's amazing.
That is.
How has your time been transitioning to Charlotte? Do you enjoy Charlotte?
I do, and it was a little hard the first year, maybe the second year, because in Long Island there is a big community of Central America people. So it's like I feel like that was my second house. Like I have so many stores that they sell what I like, things from my country. I have so many friends that I didn't know them in my country, but they told me, "Oh, I'm from the same place that you are." And I felt like that was my second home. And then when I moved to Charlotte, here is more Mexican people.
Okay.
And so it's not the same country, and it's a different culture, a little bit different. So it was a little hard for me to try to find my place in Charlotte.
Community, finding community. After 8 years, do you feel like you've been able to find, a strong community, or is it still something you're searching for?
It's still something I'm searching. I feel like in the middle, and I feel grateful because I have so many opportunities in Charlotte that I didn't have in my short period that was in New York.
Yeah.
So I do feel very grateful to be here and the opportunities to be able to find.
Yeah. And so what do you do for work?
I'm currently working as a Spanish teacher in a preschool.
Okay.
And on weekends I work I'm a nurse assistant, certificate nurse assistant, and I work with special needs children.
Wow, that's amazing. How long have you done both?
Teaching, this is my first year,
Okay.
and with the special needs children I'm going to be over my 6 years now. So.
Wow, that's amazing. And you're a mother,
Yes.
correct?
I'm a mother of 3. I have a teenager who is 14 years old. I have almost 7 years old. That's my daughter. And the baby, as a baby, he's 2 years now. So it's not a baby anymore. And the last one is 2 years old.
Okay. Does he, because I know you teach at a preschool, is he able to go to the preschool or not quite yet?
Not yet. He's supposed to start next year.
Okay.
And my mom helped me to take care of him when I'm working, and I just prefer that before daycare or anything.
Yeah. So do you work as a teacher at a preschool? Do you work full time, like every day?
Every day from 8 to 1 p.m. So it's
Okay.
like part-time.
Yeah. And how do you like it?
I really like it, and I like the schedule first of everything because I have time to spend with my children at home, and I really like to spend time with other children, learn from them, and know that I'm able to be a safe person for them and teach them quite a few things that maybe they won't learn at home, because when we are just parents, we are not prepared to teach our kids or to get them ready for school. And as a preschool teacher, we are getting those children ready for the big school.
Yeah.
So that makes me happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you teach predominantly in Spanish, or is it both English and Spanish?
I do the Spanish days because we have a Spanish teacher and the English teacher. So I do the Spanish day, and my coworker, my co-teacher, she does the English days.
Okay, that's really cool. And how many students do you typically have in a class?
We have 17 in the classroom. Some days we just have 14 or 12 because sometimes they are sick, they don't come to school, but we have 17 in
Okay.
total in our classroom.
Okay. And so, as you transitioned into this new role, because you said you've been here for about a year, during the COVID pandemic in 2020-ish, you weren't teaching, were you doing the nursing? Okay.
I was doing, yes. And I was expecting my last baby. So when I remember about 2020 and the COVID, I felt like kind of peace because I was having a hard time with the first weeks of my pregnancy. So I was thinking on quit my job, but I didn't want to because I get so close to my clients that I don't want just to say, okay, I have to go. And especially because it takes time to know the family, to know the child, the routine, and to make that child feel safe with you. And then when you have to go and other person has to come in, you have to think about the person, like the family, the child has to meet a new person. It's hard when you have to say goodbye to your clients in this type of job that I was doing. But when COVID started, so we stay at home. It was like, we have to do it. We wanted to know. So that was a relief for me because I was like, okay, I can stay home, take care of my baby, my son, my daughter, and rest and get everything calmed down because I was working over 40 hours a week.
Wow.
So pandemic for me was like a time to share with my kids, myself, doing little projects at home.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell me, what was your experience like? So you did say you felt like it was a better time for you in terms of spending quality time with your kids and being at home. But what was it like being pregnant during the lockdown and, kind of whatever you felt and experienced?
I feel I'm very lucky to own my house and have a backyard. So we have the house to do activities inside, and we have the backyard to go outside.
Yeah.
It was a little hard for my daughter, who she was 4 years old, 3.5, when COVID, because she wants to go out. She wants to go to the park. She wants to do fun things outside, how we used to do before. And we just, try to do the best that we can in home, doing some activities inside. I feel very grateful for my daughter's teachers because they send you so many ideas of what can we do at home. And we create a routine in the mornings, wake up, do our breakfast, do some homework or school activities. Then we can go outside to play in the backyard. Then we go inside to make lunch.
Yeah.
And everything what teachers sent me, it was really helpful to try to set a routine with my kids and not be like just watching TV the whole day.
Yeah.
So I know it was hard for my son, he was 11, I think, over the 12, and for my daughter, but it was good for me. I think we started on March to July. It was great for me. I was able to take care of myself and spend more time with my kids. The and I feel lucky because I have my mom with me also, and we have a house, as I mentioned before. The main worry for me was how I would pay for the mortgage and my car loan. But that was, for me, was a later problem. We're gonna solve it later.
Yeah.
But now we just need to be safe and try to find a routine that works for my kids and for me.
Yeah. Does your mom live with you, or she lives? Okay.
No, she lives with me since my daughter born because she was premature, so she decides to move with me and help me with my daughter. And then she stay, and I'm happy that she stay with me.
Yeah. So it's just you and your mom, and then the kids.
My kids and my husband.
Your husband. And then he was also working during the pandemic, or was he at home too?
He was at home. He works in construction.
Okay.
So the week that we start staying at home, he had like half of the clients call him like, we're starting in pandemic. We don't know what's going to happen. We need to cancel the projects. And he stayed at home. He was happy for maybe 1 or 2 weeks, and then he was like, I need to do something because I'm used to wake up early in the morning, go to work, and I'm here at home taking care of my children, while he doesn't like that much to do that.
Yeah.
And he was doing so many projects at home, so it was good for me having him at home.
You were happy for him to fix up the house a little bit.
Finally fixing something in the house.
Finally having the time. Oh man. And how long was he off from work during that period?
He went back to work at the end of July.
Okay.
Yeah, he was so ready to go back. I wasn't ready for him to leave home because I was worried. I do remember that he used to call me like, I'm 5 minutes away from the house, and I get everything out, like the shampoo, towels, his clothes, so he can take a shower outside the house before getting inside, just because we were trying to keep our kids safe, and because I was still pregnant.
Yeah, that's really important, So while you're pregnant, and then of course you eventually gave birth to your child, was there a lot of restrictions at the hospital at that time?
Yes. When you have my daughter, I remember my mom went to the hospital, stay with me for a few nights. When my son, it was only my husband who was able to stay with me, and he went back to work, so it was like I can just come in the night, see how you're doing, and has to go back because especially he has to go back to see the other 2 children that we have at home. But it was okay for me because I have learned to be, if I don't have someone with me, I'm okay, and be able to learn to take care of myself and not depending emotionally of someone else.
Yeah.
So that was good for me, but yes, it was so many restrictions.
Yeah. So he was still allowed to come and visit.
Yes.
So that's really important, For some others, the hospital wouldn't even allow husbands to come. And so I can't imagine. So I'm grateful you didn't have that experience.
And grateful too, because I do remember with my daughter, I spent 2 weeks in the hospital because it was a little complicated with her, and I was afraid that something like that would happen with my son, and that maybe I will be not able to see my mom and my husband. But I'm glad that everything was healthy. It was a healthy pregnancy, so I was just 3 days in the hospital, and then I was able to go back home.
Yeah. And so when you went back home, how was that transition for you? Were you guys still being very cautious with your husband's work and making sure he takes a shower before he comes in?
Yes, and it was a little hard because I have a C-section, so I have to take care of the baby, 4 years old. My son, he was 11, 12 years old. But anyways, I need to be, asking him if he's doing good, because he loves to play video games, and a little worried about all the time that he spends playing on the Xbox.
Yeah.
And my mom also, she decided to go back to work. So it was like my mom and my husband, they went back to work. They come back home early, but they has to, take a shower outside, shoes outside, coming inside the house and trying to not be too close of the baby just to make sure.
Yeah, don't expose
Yes.
the baby.
And it was hard because I even if it was my mom and my husband at home, I felt like it was only me. And my daughter, who she was 4, she was a big support. She was the one who slept next to me. And when the baby cries, she was like, "Oh, mommy, the baby's crying. Do you need something? Do you need a blanket? Do you want me to help you to do something with the baby?" So she was a big support for me. And it was a big job for 4 years old.
Yeah, what a sweet daughter. Wow, that's amazing. But that's so overwhelming to feel like you kind of had to do everything on your own in a way. And not only just take care of a newborn and help your body heal, but also 2 other kids. And that can be pretty overwhelming. So you are strong.
I do understand when I see all the stories. I have a Facebook group for mothers. It's only about mothers, Hispanic mothers.
Yeah.
And they just go and write how they're feeling. And I feel like I'm blessed, very lucky to have my mom with me, even if she can stay the whole day with me. On my own house, they have my space. And I felt I was lucky compared to other families
Yeah.
when COVID.
In what ways do you feel like you were lucky?
I have a good, not perfect, but good relationship with my husband. He, when I'm mad over something, he's just, okay, I'm going to walk away. And when you feel better, we can talk about it. And my mom, she tries to help in anything that she can. And then she goes to her room and she never tries to put rules on how I doing with my kids, and that's very important for me because if she can help me, thank you, but please don't put rules on my kids because I know the way that I want to teach him how to live, and I don't want someone else to come and say, no, this is the wrong way, this is how you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I know some other mothers that they have to share the houses with parents or parents-in-law or sisters, and the other person is like, oh, you're doing this, it's wrong the way you're doing with your child, you're supposed to do this. And I know that that feels like I'm doing wrong, I'm doing okay, and I'm having this conflict with how I'm doing my job as a mother and other people telling me if I'm doing good or no. So I feel like I'm lucky in that part.
Yeah, that is really important, having, strong relationships where you can communicate openly and, support one another. That's really important. At that time, were your kids completely virtual at home?
Yes.
So how was that?
As I told you, I was pregnant when we started with the COVID, and it was good. We have a routine. They woke up in the morning to the assignments. We cook together. We spend time in the backyard together. Then when the new year started, a few schools start open, and my son wants to go back. Like he missed friends. He told me I need to see my teachers and my friends. I don't want to just be in front of a computer doing my assignments, and I do understand that part. But my baby was 2 months old, so I was like, we have to take care of the baby, so we're gonna stay in home virtual until I feel that we are okay to go out. And same for my daughter. She started virtual. It was hard for her because it was preschool. So preschool, they need to see other children, and
Correct.
yes, and it was hard for her. 30 minutes on the screen to listen. The instructions of a teacher is hard for a 4 years old. So it was hard with staying home till January, and then I was like, okay, I think it's time. We cannot be home the rest of our life,
Yeah.
so we need to try to go out and start doing our normal life. So
Yeah.
my son was really happy to go back to school, saying my daughter to start in person the preschool.
Okay. And so once they started, how did that transition for you? You know, did they, I know in I was in Michigan at the time, and I know the kids had to wear masks all day, and that was hard, and there was a lot of rules, like they couldn't interact with other students, they had to stay 6 feet apart. How did your kids handle that? Did they, especially so young?
Yes. I think for my son, it was something that was not so hard for him because he was big enough to understand why.
Yeah.
And he has no complaints about using the mask. He was okay with that. And he was happy because he was able to go to school, see the teachers,
Yeah.
talk to his friends. And it was hard for my daughter because she don't want to wear the mask. She was like, oh no, this is too tight, I can't breathe. I want to see my friend's face, not that way we're doing right now. I want to see my teacher's face. I don't want to see just a mask. And it was hard for her to understand we cannot share. We have to keep something from us. We have to wash our hands 1,000 times a day. And we cannot touch our friends. We cannot play too close. And it was hard for her to understand. I do remember going to YouTube and trying to find videos of something that helped me to
Yeah.
teach her why we cannot touch our friends or be too close of our friends. As Hispanics, we love hugs.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was hard for her because I do remember the first day that she has to come back in person. It was in this preschool. And after 4 months seeing the teacher on the computer and then seeing her teacher on the door waiting for her, she was like, oh, I miss you, I'm happy to be here. And teacher was like, oh, we cannot do hugs. And she was like, oh, okay. And that broke my heart. I was like, oh, I'm sorry. We have the talk in the morning. We cannot hug our friends or
Yeah.
teachers. But she was so exciting to hug
I know.
her
And when
teacher.
you're so little, it's hard to understand.
It was, yes. But I think it was hard for the few weeks. And then she kind of understand why we cannot now hug friends and share
Yeah.
things with our friends or teachers.
Yeah.
So it was hard. Then she started kindergarten next year. Still, her main complaint was the mask. It's too tight, I can't breathe. But she was getting used to that. Like, this is what I'm working on in. I cannot share this with my friends. We have to wash our hands, not touching, not getting too close. And now she's happy that we came back to the normal.
Yeah, I was gonna
But-
ask,
yes.
how is it now for your children?
She feels happy that she can play with her friends, be close. They too have Pray Paul, like a friend, a bigger friend in the 4th grade that helped them to pray every day.
Okay.
She's going to a Catholic school.
Okay.
So she's happy that she has a friend that goes with her, sit down in the same place. They talk about the Bible, they pray together.
Yeah.
And she's happy that she can see the person faces
Uh-huh.
and be close to other people, and that she's able to hug everyone.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so great. And your son, he's 14, so
He's 14 now.
what grade is he in now?
He's in 10th grade.
Wow. Oh my goodness. How is high school for him now? Is it better?
He says that he likes the fact that he can go in person, and the high school is hard. He's like, Mom, high school is hard anyway. I'm just trying to do the best I can. There is always a group of kids that making problems, getting in troubles all the time. But I'm happy that I'm able, because I know there's a few teenagers that they prefer to stay at home because we have the option now to
Yeah.
be doing a school through the computer. And it's like, I know, I'm happy to go back. He is in the ORTC and the
Okay.
school, so he really likes to be around other people.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's so great. And then your little one, how has he been? As I know sometimes when certain, during the restrictions, the little ones couldn't really understand what it was to connect with other people because you were in isolation at home. And so, does he do now? Do you get to go out with him? How does he respond? How's that been?
I remember the first time that we went on vacations, he was 8 months old, and it was only big brother, sister, mom, and dad. And because we usually go with uncles and mom and grandmother, but this time was only us. It was a little hard for him when he saw other people. He was like, I don't know this person, but there is more people around us because I know we spend so much time only at home.
Yeah.
But as I told you, I feel very grateful for my daughter preschool teachers. They send you so much videos, information, resources that we can do to try to prepare our little ones to do the transition from being home to go back, the restrictions, how we can go little by little, going back to the normal life that we used to have. It was hard the first time that we went out. He didn't want no one to touch him. Like when we do our first meeting, like our first family reunion, he didn't want no one to touch him. He was like, I want to be with my mom. Nobody touched me. He someone get close to me. Hey, how you doing? Oh, the baby. He started crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, you have to understand. We're staying home for a long time, so just don't touch him, please.
Yeah.
Then when he turns 1 year, I went back to work.
Mm-hmm.
And my uncle's wife staying home, so I asked her if she can take care of him. She was like, I can do it. I was worried about that, but she's amazing. So the first 2 weeks he cried, but then when we park outside her house, he's like, Grace, her name is Grace, so he's like, Grace. He get off the car, he runs to the door, hug, and he's like, okay, man, goodbye. I'm like, okay, he's good. I'm happy that it's not something hard for him because I know after being a year just with mommy, going to somewhere with someone else to stay for half of the day, it would be difficult. But I think he did it great. I feel blessed that I know there is so many people that's hard for them going back to doing the normal life.
Yeah.
And I feel blessed that for my children it wasn't too hard.
Yeah. That's amazing. I'm so glad that, other teachers from your daughter's school were able to provide resources to help support you and educate you and help, help the transition for your kids. That's amazing. And I think it's also so helpful, like you said, you had time to go in the backyard and you had that space and that freedom to do different activities with them, and that's so important. That's really amazing. And then, so how about you as a mom now? Do you feel like you're not as worried about the kids getting COVID? Are you guys still doing a lot of like exposure precaution, like taking showers before you enter the house, or have you kind of, lessened?
No, we are trying to be careful anywhere where we go.
Yeah.
Who we are. I think, and I'm not sure if this happened to others' culture, but like in my culture, like if someone gets sick, they didn't want to say anything, because I feel that is just because we don't have enough resources and education about this. But it's like, oh, someone gets sick, don't get near the houses, don't call them. It's like, okay, if you call someone, you won't get sick. You can call, hey, how you doing? Do you want me to get some groceries for you? I can drop on the door and just call me when you feel better.
Yeah.
So that's why, and the people that I know, my friends, there was so many people getting sick because once one person gets sick and didn't say it, I have COVID, so we cannot get together because I'm sick. They just pretend that nothing has happened and they get together with the other people. So I asked to my family and the people who are close to my family, so please, here we're doing a barbecue home and I invite you, but if you feel sick, just stay home and let me know. I'm not feeling good. I will prepare a plate for you. I will take it to your home, but just because I want to be safe with my kids. We try to do our normal life, going to have dinner outside, going to play, birthday parties. We try to keep it small. Like my daughter's birthday was only 4 little girls that come to house because I don't want to have so many people in my house. But we are trying to trying to do things normal. We learned something that I really like, and it's taking the cheese out and just have a place outside my house so we don't get any kind of germs or anything inside the house, especially because my son, the one that is 2 years old, he plays on the floor. So I'm happy that we learned that part in the COVID. Just keep the cheese outside the house. That's something good that I like. And yes, we're doing our lives pretty much as we used to do it before COVID. I feel like all the things that we have to go through before COVID give you the tools to be strong and going through COVID. And we learn, as a family, we become more together, strong. We learn things about each one. So it was, when I remember COVID, it was something good for me because I get to know more about my brothers and spend time with my children. Talking about work, that's something different because we were behind with all the payments in the house, but we're gonna get eventually. We're gonna get good on that.
Oh, that's such an incredible positive outlook. I know it can be overwhelming to juggle all the finances and the bills, and that can be overwhelming, but that's awesome that you have a positive outlook and you're saying, no, we're going to be okay. And you're going to work hard to get there. So that's incredible. You're very resilient and strong, Sandra. I know before we did our interview, we did this little hand map. Is there anything that you want to share from your hand map? Anything that stuck out to you?
Yes, I feel like the most important job in my life is to be a mother, a good daughter, and sister. That's my 3 main jobs that I feel that are important to me and that make me strong, because I feel like I have to be there for my mom, for my brothers, and for my children. And I need to be strong and try to be the good role model that they need for any situation that we had. So my mom say that she feel blessed to have me in her life because I'm a big support for her, but I feel like I'm blessed to be the support that she needs because that makes me like I can be weak. I have to be strong for my mom, to my children, to my brothers because I'm the oldest. So I feel those 3 are my biggest jobs in life, and they're very important part of who I am.
That's beautiful.
I do remember we have a good life in my country, and then we lost my father, so that changed everything. And I think that was the part that made me strong, because I was like, my mom needs me. I was 9 years old, but I do remember my grandma sitting with me and saying, now it's only your mom, you, and your 2 little brothers, and your mom need you. I'm gonna be here, your mom, and you need me, but it's only you. You are not anymore a family of 5, you are 4 now, and you have to be together and support each other. And I will never forget that. So I was trying always to be the support for my mom. She has to work, I take care of my brothers, and whatever she needs, I was trying to be there for her. So I think I miss my dad, but that part makes me be more strong and realistic about my expectations. I think what is
Yeah.
something that I really can accomplish. My priorities, what has to go first, what I can wait a little more for it. And then I wasn't expecting that. My mom then was like, okay, we're going to move out of the country because I can find good opportunities for me here. And then we had to move. And that was a big, big change for me because I was already in high school and I was like, I'm almost my last year of high school and then I'm going to college. I was super happy. I started looking for college and everything. I was planning my life. I was like, everything is getting in place after losing my dad and being 5 years moving from one place to another place with my mom trying to find a safe place for us. And I was feeling like everything is in place now. And then my mom took the decision to move. And I was like, okay. I don't remember I was crying for 2 days because I didn't want to move.
Yeah.
Then we moved and we just tried to start from zero.
Yeah.
And I think we did a good job because now we own our houses and we have jobs. I have my own family here. So I think we did good. So that's why I think that everything what we have to go through in my country after losing my dad makes me strong enough to go through anything that has to go here.
Yeah. Wow. It's incredible, Sandra. Truly. So sorry for the loss of your father at such a young age. I can't imagine the pain. But also for your resilience and for your strength. To honor your time, I just want to ask with one more question do you have any additional stories or experiences to share about your experience the last 2-3 years?
Yes. Before Kavi was working so much, I feel like as Hispanics we have this idea. We're going to United States, the opportunity land, where we can have so many opportunities and try to do our best and have a better life. So when I moved here and I started my family, and I want my children to have all the opportunities that they can have. And for me, that was working hard to be able to pay for any classes or after school programs that they want to do. So I was working, and then going with them to the music class or gymnastic class and not having time for me and for the goals that I put aside when we decided to move here. So when COVID started, I get this opportunity of doing the education courses to start working as a preschool teacher. So that was something that it was a big opportunity for me. And I do feel bad because some people, they have a really hard time for pandemic, but I feel like pandemic was a blessing for me because I have the opportunity to find opportunities to go back to school, to do my courses, take my license, and that was huge for me. Able to, so my kids they saw me working on the computer and asked me, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I went back to school. I'm doing some courses. I'm doing something for myself and of course for you too. And I think it was a good example for especially the one who is teenager because he was like, okay, so mom is doing schoolwork, so I have to do my schoolwork too.
Yeah.
And so I do feel that was a big opportunity for me, even through it was a chaos in the whole country and the whole world. But I was happy to see the good in all the chaos that we were living.
Yeah.
And I think, and my mom says that you always see the good and the chaos, and like this is the way that I think we should be living because we cannot just sit at a table or go into our bed and start crying about all the bad things that are happening around us.
Yeah.
We have to try to see the good part and trying to learn from that. So some people, when I say, oh no, pandemic was good for me because I was able to do this and become a better mother and get my license to work as a preschool teacher. And people have hard time and they are like, how you can be happy about something that was really bad for others? And sometimes I feel guilty about that, but like we need to try to see the good in everything.
Yeah,
So
I agree with you. That's a really incredible outlook. Really, really incredible. Well, thank you so much, Sandra, for sharing your story with us. We so appreciate your time.
thank you, Sarah.